Yeah, like I said, let's reggae and roll. You are live in the tube with the great
I hope
Arthur
I have.
Christian. How are you, Arthur?
I slept in. I'm sorry,
Good.
mate. I
It's
long
early.
sleep, and I went to bed early and
Yeah,
woke up 10 minutes ago. I can't believe it. Wow.
early, early in the day for you, and it's 5 o'clock for me. It's not late at
Normally I'm
night.
up at six,
It's still
sometimes half
very
past
sunny,
five.
as you can see. The sun is shining on
Wow,
my
lucky
face.
you. Yeah, it is shining here too.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I'd
So today we're gonna keep going with our reflection on super intelligence. Now I was thinking, okay, I was on the bike path the other day, and I was looking at the squirrel, and I'm like, the squirrel is a perfect fractal, perfect coherency with what should be a squirrel. You know, it does his job. So everything in nature is fully coherent with what it's supposed to be. If you take out human from the equation, you take us out, and you just observe nature and animals, everything is perfect fractal, perfect coherence. Now you put the human in there, we fuck everything up. So, is there a way for us, Arthur, to get back to that full coherency? And what is it for you to be a fully coherent human? Now, maybe Christ consciousness is the attainment in there. Maybe, who knows? But it's also something I heard, Christ consciousness. Maybe you can extrapolate on it, but I'm pretty sure it's the same as super consciousness, what we're talking about. So, how are we gonna get back to, after being bamboozled for thousands of years collectively? I'm talking about, we've been bamboozled and programmed into a state that is very far from being coherent with what it is to be human. Come on, we're not uh, made to pay bills and die and just work, and or like, we're supposed to take responsibility. Yes, I get it, but in the world we live in, it's harder and harder to take full responsibility because everything is taken away from us so fast. And to go get it, it demands sometimes a Herculean effort to just get a piece of land, or so nothing is really given to us when it should be. You know, if we want to be with coherent with Mama Earth too, we shouldn't have to pay for food. It's given free to us. As far as I'm concerned, there's no toll for Mama Earth to give money to get something from it. So Earth is coherent, animals are coherent, everything is super coherent. The nature, the phenomena, the natural phenomena, even though it destroys things, but it builds on the other side. So it's always a balance in nature. Now, why are we so off balance? So off from being coherent with what we're supposed to be. And what is that what we're supposed to be? Also,
well,
my
it's
question to you.
we're going to go back over the same old ground, Johnny. Sorry, because we everything of life is already working. It's just what we've done to it. And what we've done to us first, what I explained before, like we have to damage who we are before we can start damaging life. So we are that coherency is just because we are out of sync um, for all the reasons of fiction, that we have practiced living. You know, so the really what you're talking about here is the remedy of why we're doing what we're doing, creating the Kingdom Village, because um, we have Frankensteined our lives so much, not knowing that we have been Frankensteining our lives. We've done it for so long. Um, so like I said, like we don't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab our next breath. It's already what we already need is already available to us. Everything of the consciousness of life is already here now. There's no ascension to something outside of us that we have to get back to. It's a matter of letting go of all the distortions, all the distractions, all the confusions that have created that disconnect. And that is just to learn how to look. I think one of the things that's really important is that in nurturing life itself, the more we can surrender to just get back into the creativity of life, we talked about in the last video, is that when we become the bee to the hive, the ant to the colony, the birds to the flock, when we become all the creatures that makes up the forest and all the living greens of the forest, although when we're busy in nurturing life and we're not thinking about anything else, that coherency starts to happen. And we are starting to let go and let go. It's like that. What we need already becomes available to us. It's a matter of just being busy in the creativity. Busy in the creativity really is. That's what it is, of life itself, of nurturing life, caring for life, that things start to fix themselves naturally. So there's no journey to have to get back to coherency or journey to freedom and joy and happiness and caring and all the things. Things start happening, and when we get into that real natural peace and calm, which happens naturally, when we shut down all this noise, all this chit chat in here, all the alphabet stuff, and the only way you shut that down is to be busy in the creativity, getting into things we love doing, and learn to discover things that we love doing about caring for the land and growing food. And well, in my case, the reason for the 26.8 acres here is to transform this into a paradise. So all this busy of creativity that we're in doing and caring for it with others who also want to do it is going to help restore who we are, because everything is a reflection of us. So if we fix the waterways, get the water to move around this property, getting all the interconnection of all the key line systems, all that water, and then start working out where the roadways and the pathways, and then where we got to build timber bridges over the walkway, and then plant flowers and bulbs, and create absolute beauty everywhere we walk, and have frogs would be busy everywhere, even reintroducing native fish that would have been in these streams, and that going right through to the trees and planting all the things we want to plant, and then expanding that out into where we're going to put the homes, the natural homes amongst it, while we're busy in that creativity all the time, just creating life, nurturing life. This is the coherency, because the land, the paradise we're creating, is that coherency. It's not looking at the chaos of television and monitors, listening to about wars in Palestine and all this stuff, and getting caught up with plastic and steel and cities and skyscrapers, and and getting into plastic and all the processed foods and all that. It's learning how to reconnect and learn to eat from the very land you care for, which is your motherland. The more that we do that and we're eating from that land without thinking of everything else, we are changing naturally. Like I said, you don't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab our next breath. The more that we are in the creativity of life is just giving it back to us. The more that we surrender all this distortion that we've picked up in our heads, which this video series covers this very well. It's there, Janik, that we have that synchronicity, the natural one, without the words. And it's there where we start to experience the wonders and incredible things of life. And it's there where we build real powerful relationships, because we're not going to play out all this egocentric, narcissistic, personalities, that we have formed from those distortions that are all in our heads. So basically, the more that we shut down what's in our head, get rid of all this conversation, and that the real conversation is with life itself in the paradise that we are creating, which is all around us, is spreading out as far as we can take it. So it just doesn't have to be this 26.8 acres. It can then extend out even more. It doesn't mean we become dumbed down and stupid. But the thing is, when we can turn the TV off, when we can turn off the internet, when we can shut down all these things, and we shut down all the system things that we don't need anymore, because the land that we're caring for is already providing it all for us. We're also changing the atmosphere. We're changing the weather, because we are that. That's what we are. It's not a miracle and such. It's just that We have just clouded it, and we've done the most terrible, distorted things to our lives and to life all around us because it's reflecting where we're at. So that's why the kingdom dream, the KIN, we working together as brothers and sisters in a common natural village. That's how I see kingdom. What I look at it. Um, it's in the doing of living like this that we experience this amazing power that we really have to care for. While we're on the internet and in our distorted state, talking to each other and with everybody else, and we're lost in the system
Okay.
so much that when it's all like it's at arm's length from us, and we never seem to be able to get back to the heart. But the heart really is the land, it's nature, it's living things, and it's learning how to care for the very life that we are. Because that's what life is. It is life. And that is the real what speech marks around Christ consciousness and all that. It's life. It's getting back to life. It's getting back to that do no harm life. Getting back to that true land, that real peace and calm. The real peace and calm that we have. And in there we do our greatest dreaming, our best thinking. So, um, to repeat, being busy creating a paradise here for Fiona and I, which is why we got this land, and that was the intention, is to surrender to the land and be uplifted by the inspirations that the land provides, and the dream to creating the paradise, and to attract others who want to surrender to that as well. So we are all those bees to the hive, right? We're all busy in creativity, doing all the things that transforms this land into the paradise, and have that be the living example of life, and to have your body be buried there and have that celebrated, and everyone else's life celebrated there. It's just not some pipe dream, some journey. I'm not talking about running around with guns and shooting and just creating fear porn amongst nature, amongst creatures. The thing is to attract them back, to bring back the native life, to bring back everything that was here before, maybe 150 years ago or whatever, when we started deforesting the regions here, took down all the amazing, incredible tall cedar trees. And we have about 4 or 5 of them ready to plant. We have other trees we want to replant here, to try and bring this all back. So all I can say is just imagine you're walking into a paradise, and that you can hear the sound of water, of running water, wherever you are in the distance or whether you're near it, to look and see beautiful flowers and gardens, all that kind of stuff, to see orchards and thriving health there, to see feathered friend environments and native habitats that we've all reintroduced, to see natural sheds and things. Sure, we're still going to be using system equipment and things like machines and that to transform all this, but the goal is to, like we talk about, build the bridge where we're busy in the creativity of using the system to get out of the system, use the fiction to get out of the fiction. And then we let go of all this stuff. And we learn to continue dropping and dropping. But the thing is, we're surrounded by the beauty of what we're creating, that we are. It's in there where everything changes naturally, where the real peace and calm and the happiness and joy is just there happening. So that's what the remedy is, when you talk about the squirrel and you talk about how incredible, all these things are. It's to me, it's in live in the dream, or what I call kingdom,
Uh,
that we
just a
fix.
little question for you. If we hope to heal this world, we must heal ourselves in the first place, definitely. Go back to that full coherency, full fractal, whatever, pure energy, light that we supposed to be. Uh, can we teach that stuff? Or because our learning attitude really sucks at times, we're very much distracted. So it's I see kind of hard to like teach that stuff and making people a little bit more aware about nature and stuff when we have are gone so unnatural. So before you said everything you do impacts nature, your thoughts, everything. And I think that too, definitely. So we are affecting the fabric of reality just with our each and everyday action, as long as it's towards good, like good actions. So can we hope to heal this world, and how? Is it just time that's going to heal the world? Because I don't see this being taught to people, being people teaching that stuff, because the learning attitude sucks. So is it really us, the ones that are a little bit more coherent with what it is to be human, will affect the fabric, the ether, or something? So at one point, time will heal this earth. Is it just time that will heal the place, you think?
Yeah,
And
to me, it's
how
the
long
letting
it's gonna
go.
take? Like,
It's. I don't look at it through the fictions of time or hope on that. When we know who we really are, and we are creatively busy doing that, the here and now is
like
already changing.
generational,
Yeah, I know. I
different
hear that. I hear that.
generation. I don't.
I hear that. But I think we naturally, like again, you don't have to jump 10
How
foot
many
across the room.
generation it's gonna take? That's maybe
And
more accurate
it
question.
doesn't
How
matter.
many generation? Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many generations, Johnny. It's us being it, willing to surrender, to be the
Okay.
creativity, till we wake up and go to bed, be in the creativity and in the celebration of what we're creating, of the living paradise, to transform and before your eyes to see. You see, we are not only transforming who we are, but the consciousness, the natural consciousness that is life, that is nature itself, is already communing with life everywhere. We are drawing in the whole of life in doing it. We're not alone. People who are waking up, who are sensing, will pick it up and they want to come and be part of it, or come and experience and be inspired to go and do it somewhere else. Sure, there will be in that bridge that we are crossing during that transition. It could take 10, 15, 20 years of fiction to begin to see all these things flourishing. It may only take 6 months to a year to bring in big machines to transform what we've got to do, and then nurture and fix all the things up to bring it back, to bring everything back. I mean, there's a lot of information out there. There's so many hundreds, thousands of pockets of from permaculture and syntropy and soil science and forget the word science, but in being able to do restoration work. But the king is to unless we're actually being it and living it and doing it, and do it as a team effort of villagers in a village amongst brothers and sisters who live for
Yeah.
the common dream. When we're busy in the creativity, we're just basically not interested in wasting our life on narcissism, on all these things, on all this destructive emotional stuff. We stop playing it out, and we will find peace naturally. It happens just naturally. So if we come with I've got the right idea, I'm the best at this, and da da da, and we come with all this kind of conflict, and we don't have respect, true respect. Like when people come here and they don't respect Fiona and I, they themselves won't have respect for their lives either, and that's already a disconnect, and that's going to start to recreate the stresses and the traumas of all the egocentric, narcissistic, self-centered, self-importance, you know, kind of stuff. What's in it for me? I want a good vantage spot. When people work from the true heart, all the great spots is for everyone to enjoy. We don't covet all that in the dream of expanding, thousands and thousands of hectares of land, which is the trigger. Because in doing what we're doing, it's just a start. To spread it out. It's like a nuclei. To spread it out. And so it's not just 26.8 acres. It becomes 50 and 100 and 200 and 300 and 400. And we take over all along the lands along the river, the Macleay River up here, and to see it spread out. Um, when we live for the greater good, when we surrender and we live for the dream, we're actually caring for everybody else around us. That already is a communication. It's a natural conversation happening of the true consciousness. And when we are busy in that, it they have relatives, they have friends, They have family. They have connections, you know. And before you know it, media wants to have a look at this because of what word of mouth has spread. You know, it could be that because people in council think that this can't happen and that can't happen, and that creates a conflict. And some journalist who picks up news from the media and then goes to the local court and picks up all this stuff, and they have someone like me being dragged in there. If they want to do that and play it out, they can do that too. I can't stop that. But I'm not living for their approval. I don't live for their authority or their administration, because I'm fully responsible, and that's the paradise of the man. You know, it's being responsible for life itself and being the true custodian, caretaker, steward of life, not in words, but in the busyness of what we're doing, because we are responsible, fully responsible. Because when we're fully responsible, it means we love what we are doing here. We love and care for everything that we are part of, because that's what love is. It's fully responsible. Why would we give it up? Because in the doubt and the uncertainty and on the narcissism, you're giving it up. You're going to invite all these interlopers, intermeddlers, interceders, because it's still in your own conversation of your own doubt and uncertainty and distrust and fear and confusion about who you are. I don't have that anymore. For me, I don't have any of that. I truly don't. I must also point out that my wife and I, we came out of a 36, 37 months court case where the judge on 23rd of December gave Fiona a victory. Not to say that we're better, but simply the dream, the money that was gifted for this dream, because that's been from where we came from, having $6 million in today's value stolen from us and forcing our family close to destitution and poverty 20 years ago. I didn't know all this, what we're talking about today, all these insights. I didn't go to any book to tell me about it. I didn't sit down at the feet of someone who would share it all to me. You know, it just came from the determination of using scrutiny and contemplation, because I wanted to work out originally, who are these people? How can this organized crime syndicate get away with this and have this impunity? How does this happen? You know, so I went from rage and anger, wanting to go and kill them all in one night, all the people involved in this thing. And I never committed a crime. I never injured anyone, never broken the peace. Now, this is not about all roads talking back to self about Arthur. I'm just trying to point out to you that when I surrendered and started creating Love for Life in 2005, 2006, and changed from that anger to wanting to really create a community and wanting to search and learn about the truth, it's taken like 20 years to get to this man to be where this man is now. The process of from the house that we lived in, it was a rental property with Fiona as a mum with 3 little kids and pregnant with the 4th, and having to experience Central Railway Station of people coming and going, while the epiphanies were happening, while all kinds of crazy things were going on. While we built this garden that was producing 2 tons of great quality food on 1/16 of an acre. To learn about the soil science, thanks to various friends who came into my life who shared their wisdom with what they were learning. So things were changing anyway. So I've arrived here because I surrendered, wanted to learn the truth and know the truth, not to have it defined to me. And just keep the passion of that going, keep the drive of that going, which was undoing the 24/7 of practicing being lost and confused as an economic slave in the system, where I didn't even know who I was or what I was, to the epiphanies of the living creator revealing things to me, not talking to me. He didn't tell me I had to think about anything, through an Aboriginal man who moved his whole body in front of me, to an American Indian who also moved his whole body in front of me while I'm walking the dog on these 2-hour walks. These are in older videos. You guys can dig all this up. I'm not going to go through all that again. But and then I had a 2-week sleep in 2012. I didn't even know where I was. But Fiona and another girl called Hannah and another friend of ours who we knew, and a Tango came, he was a Buddhist at that stage. They were trying to take care of my mind. And I remember sort of seeing them mucking around with my body. They're trying to help me. But I was asleep for 2 weeks. I didn't have a stroke. I didn't have any sickness issues. I just went to sleep and just wasn't waking up. And when I finally woke up, because Fiona, we have an American friend in Fiji who told Fiona to make this special thing with garlic and whatever, olive oil or whatever they had to do, put it under my feet. it's something triggered something, and I actually came back. I woke up, and I had to relearn to walk because I had no balance. And I had lost a lot of weight during that period, and they had to pick up my body, take it to the toilet. I don't remember any of this, and they had to probably clean my body a little bit. But this is all part of the experiences. But when I was going for these walks, when I was learning to relearn to walk, I noticed this, the senses. I don't mind that the senses. I could read the fine print on trucks a kilometre away as I was driving past on Kangaloo Road down there at East Barrel. And then I watched this couple walking along Old South Road that intersects with Kangaloo Road in East Barrel, where the botanical gardens are now growing. And I could zoom and listen to their conversation for more than a kilometre. And I'm going, whoa, this is too much. This is too much. And then as I was coming back from that walk, I had X-ray vision like Superman looking into people's bodies. And I'm going, oh my God. And I knew straight away, I don't want this. And I also knew that if word got out that this was kind of the skill sets that I was having, I'd have a lineup of people from Barrel railway station, 5 kilometres away to East Barrel home. And there'll be a lineup from all the way to our door. And no one will be there to really meet me or see me. They all want to be fixed. They all just want to be fixed. And this is what Fiona kept telling me for years during the Love for Life work, that people kept coming because they wanted to be fixed. They wanted to be rescued. They wanted me to solve. But this never brought real peace and calm. And I realized that there was so much distorted stuff still going on that I still had to work out about my own shit. It was always about my own shit. So just as I didn't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab our next breath, the dream of the truth and living for the truth that had started when I was 14, 15 years old, after nearly killing my father. And I won't go through all that. That's all. I think it's covered in other videos. And my little brother reminded me about this when he was 3 years old and witnessed what had happened. And so I went from that dream, and I've had what appeared to be a hellish life. I'd already come from a hellish life in doing Love for Life work. I discovered I'd been sexually abused as a little kid. I also discovered, I knew because of all the fighting and arguing Mum and Dad had, and the physical violence that they had between each other, with bite marks and scratch marks and, bashings and they did to each other. It was a really, really, really very sad life, very, very disconnected life. And there I am at the East Barrel house with Fiona with 3 little kids and her pregnant with the 4th. I pulled out of the system. I knew I had to pull out of the system, drop the name, drop everything, pull out of commerce. So from that point onwards, I didn't take any Medicare. I didn't have any credit cards, no check accounts. I didn't take any pension money. I just stopped it all. No black market, no working for cash. Just dropped it all completely. No driver's license, you on a go, no passport, sacrificed everything. I just knew I had to do it. But in that pell-mell, in that chaos of doing it, having the Love for Life website and communicating the intentions and working out, creating community, I called Do No Harm Community back there. The transformation, the letting go was already happening, Jani. It was already happening. Where I've arrived at, we already have it all, man. I already had it all even back then. But the chaos of my childhood up to that point, the chaos in the court case with Macquarie Bank and the Supreme Court, and all that chaos that was going on at the early stages of this life here at the East Barrel house, which we were renting now. I went from having 4,000 a week income as an average, which is today like 10,000 a week, with 2 businesses, the house that we owned that we turned into holiday rentals, and I could go on and on. I don't want to go on and on about this. It's not about all roads leading to Arthur. I'm just pointing out, in surrendering and sacrificing all this, I'm letting go of it all. I created the space for the real stuff to start coming in. Like you don't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab your next breath. It's already there. You already got it. And it's just in doing that letting go, even leading up to the 2012 2 weeks sleep. And then with the senses heightened, with that, using that to write books about what happened to me through those 3 epiphanies back in 2006, or 4 of them, sorry, and through to, working with senses, I was able to use scrutiny to rationally work out what was fiction and what was life. That's all I did. There was nothing miraculous about it, Jani. So here I am. We are now in the fiction of time. In April, what is it? The third, 4th of April now, wherever we are, 2026. From where I was back in when we moved to that East Barrow house in November 2005. So we're talking, 21 years now. I've come to all this insight, vast insight, because I wanted the responsibility, because I loved the truth and I wanted to live and be that truth, Shani. That's all that's happened. So my life changed, and I have been broadcasting, sharing this through the internet and through videos if people want to hear it. It's not, and I came to learn that it's not, I have no attachment to any outcomes about any of this. I just wanted to change the way I'm living. But to do that, I wanted to inspire others to see if they want to change too, so that all around me is that real paradise growing around me. So I don't have to wake up and go to bed with all this chaos coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. So I've become a custodian, a steward, a caretaker of this motherland. This is the motherland of this man. Because we've been uprooted, Johnny, because we've been uprooted from our traditional motherlands through our ancestors long ago who were invaded by these imperial, agendas that came out of Europe, mostly out of Europe, that has spread all across Earth, yet alone in the wider Asia Pacific regions and that. So what I'm trying to say is that, and just bear with me, I just want to wind this thing up. We are capable of doing the most extraordinary things to recreate our motherland, because we are all refugees on land right now. All Australians are all refugees on their own on their land, and they're refugees to their ancient motherlands. We're all caught up in the migration and immigration that's happened through invasions and conquerors that have come and gone, and the wars. And I could see my mother and father. My dad came out of the Korean War, and I could see the chaos in my father now, what he must have gone through, and the atrocities he would have seen, and the terrible bodies that were blown up to pieces. And he was in the midst of it. He was in the United Nations out of Greece in that. And then, he would have had no help at all. I mean, I hated my father, Johnny. I really hated he was a bad man. He didn't really know. And yet my daughter went to visit the village where my dad grew up in Greece, and they all love him. And they all called him a real sweetheart. So something happened. And when I went I saw my dad for the last time. He was alive. He had emphysema, dying on his deathbed. I was speaking, I'm glad you're going to hell. Have a great time there, because, that's where I was still at. I was just still, blaming him. I didn't learn how to truly forgive him, which I have done since. And then hearing the priest say that they couldn't put the word out to the wider community in Canberra because they would have had thousands of people coming to his funeral. And I'm going, what? This is my dad? What? It was so out of sync. It was just, I got to learn about Freemasonry. I got to learn about how these things work. I got to see all these different things. So all I'm getting at is that I carry the responsibility of the dream of life that I love, with the wisdom to keep out all that chaos from ever re-entering into the motherland that I've recreated here as this man's life. And I'm the highest standing of this land. I live on this land. I don't carry any of the law or anything. I'm above the law, not as some arrogant arsehole, but simply because I'm responsible. I am this land. I'm not separated from the land. I don't carry any interlopers, intermeddlers, interceders. I don't carry middlemen, middle women between me and land, me and food, me and water, me and shelter. I don't carry any of this. And if they wanted to come and play out that game, I know how to deal with them. And as I said, the only thing they can do to stop a man like this is basically outright murder, assassination. And I've already been through this as well. So you talk about you ask me these questions and all that stuff. And here I am talking about being busy in the creativity of the land and caring for the land, and how that changes, because we're actually now bringing forth, we're evoking everything naturally built into all of us, and we're changing it. So I know where the line is drawn between fiction and life, meaning between narcissism and destructive emotional patterns, which are all fiction, and the good heart and all its virtues, and learning what's the sense something is coming to cross the line to enter in the paradise of this dream. And my job is to make sure it doesn't happen and remove and get it out of the way. And I've moved a lot of people out of my life who come for all the wrong reasons. So I carry that kind of responsibility. So you've got to have all these different skill sets. But I'm committed, as my wife is. I mean, she's busy in the gardening business right now, just keeping the money rolling in for now, until we are at a place where we can carry on that full responsibility. Because another thing that's very interesting about dreams and how powerful dreams are, when you create real dreams, living dreams. The judge that gave the orders and the judgment may have pointed out that I was not a sovereign citizen, that I was not a cult, and that we're not a cult, we're not part of a cult. He made that very clear. He dived in. He had all this literature that he referred to that he must have investigated over and above. I'm assuming some of this, and I can't represent the judge, but also pointed out that I didn't carry any unconscionable conduct. I wasn't playing out unconscionable conduct that led to the case in the first place and the claims that were made. So, in spite, at the moment, it's this thing about going to the Court of Appeal now by the plaintiff, who originally gifted the money for this, and it was proven it was a gift. It was a huge move to do all the things we did here. And there's still a home for this man one day when he gets back to his good heart and can work with that good heart and get out of all this nightmare that he's been caught up in. And he proved himself can handle that kind of responsibility. There's a home for him here, because that was the original dream. And because he's behaved so poorly all this time doesn't mean we're going to ostracize and keep him out. Because without his sacrifice with money that he had, and the lifestyle changes that cause changes to him, this, under the circumstances of the reality of what happened to get us to this point, because I always saw life as a gift, and all the gifts would be the pavers we walk upon as we open up paradise again, and the responsibility that we carry all the wisdom with all of this. So, I don't want to get into creating defamation for Fiona, because she has to now go through the Court of Appeal. I see this where the plaintiff is basically a rooster with his head chopped off, running around the yard till he drops. He's still fighting for something because he was very angry and made a lot of claims that were just not true, and that was made clear by the judge. So I don't even worry about these things anymore. My heart's there to do the right thing, be fully responsible, because I have to forgive my life and what the things that I've done. I have to forgive others around me and their life and what they've done. We've got to forgive him, the plaintiff, for what he's done. And we've got to learn to hold the real dream. And it looks like we're a gatekeeper, but we're not. It's just simply, if you can handle that full responsibility to live the dream of paradise, to learn to co-create and commune with the squirrel that you talk about, we're here with possums and other living microbats and I forgot the name of the creatures. They've got little tiny possums that can fly through the air. They've got wings, but they don't flap. They're gliders. They're like little possum gliders. We have all these things, and they need habitats. And I've been seeing all kinds of things here, and I'm going, this is incredible. It brings me joy, great joy, and tears in the eyes. So there's nothing else to talk about, Shani. Really, it's in the doing. It's in the living of wanting to create a dream that's bigger than the narcissism and what's in it for me, and the fear of security and certainty of land, and we cling and cringe like people do with land and land title deeds and all this stuff. Is to actually learn to surrender it all, to learn to work with the good heart and all its virtues, and in the here and now, where we don't have to jump 10 foot across our breath for anything, because we don't doubt. The real peace and calm not only becomes apparent to us, it's already happening, and we haven't had to train to be that. It just happens because we're in the creativity of nurturing, caring for life, that it arrives naturally, or just keeps coming out. And from that, all the other virtues of the good heart are playing out: the kindness, the compassion, the empathy, the respect, which is very important, and it goes in. We don't play out all the other stuff. So it's in that. So I'm not saying I'm completely out of the woods yet, because I still, those infections that I must have been pounded with since I peed in the womb would have happened to all of us. And they're 24/7 reacting to those kind of destructive information, because it is information that's distorted. It's not natural. Coming out of ritual sacrifice from the blood leading, blood libel, encoded in the alphabet languages that we talk. Because all those distorted feelings is what the alphabets are. And playing it out with each other, and we're communicating that with each other. Where we batten down and go into conflict with each other, go into chaos all the time. We've got to end it. So we have the capacity to recognize the shit that we're all fucked up. I'm still fucked up. Whether that ever goes all away, I don't know, but I won't let it play out in the dream of the paradise here, of the kingdom. And if it was causing me pressure, I know enough to go, okay, I need to have a break and have a walk away and go clear my, go and busy, do something else creatively. Or go sit down, just rest, or even go and have a sleep if necessary. Have a rest. And it wears off. It just goes very quick. These days it just goes. Sometimes I just notice it, and it's gone like that. So you must have the willingness to be sincere and have the passion with no doubt, no uncertainty, no distrust, no fear, etc. No complacency, no apathy, no denial. None of this stuff. That we are capable of just expanding what's naturally built into us and into each other as the team players of a kingdom dream of this paradise that we're creating, where we're transforming this land through the business. I mean, I prefer to wake up and go to bed working and doing laboring for this paradise than having to labor for the emotions and the conflict and the fear porn and all the other things, much of it buried unconsciously. We're not even conscious that we're doing it. And then playing it in survival mode with everyone else, where Fiona still has to go to town to do some shopping, because the whole idea of creating a paradise is it provides everything we need, everything. And when you have a team of other brothers and sisters who live in a village, and they all care for the village, collectively, the village takes care of all of us too. Everything we need is available to us. Now that's a huge letting go. This is not a Waco situation. We're not armed with guns and all that. We don't carry weapons. We work with our only weapon is our good heart and the intelligence of our brain, because your speed of thought, when it's faster, when you're not bogged down by all this emotional stuff, we're not bogged down by the intellect and your brilliance of that intellect, because it becomes like a quagmire, it's a morass. Your speed of thought slows down and you can't sense. So you can anticipate faster than anyone's ill will directed at you and counter that. Because that's how I've been dealing with it. I can counter these things. So, and I'm not expecting people not going to come fucked up. It's whether they're willing to handle the responsibility that they won't play out in their life, yet alone play it out with other people's life, and they have found their way, or whether they need some examples from Fiona and I as to how to deal with it. So they don't play out all this emotional, what's in it for me, self-centered shit. Now, I've just been talking quite a bit here, but I prefer to be busy here, working and laboring for this dream, waking up, going to bed, doing this, than being a commercial slave in the system of money and having to keep money rolling in and working for the fiction and land title deeds and all the other things one must do, where you need that what we talked about in our videos, Johnny. The one pen, just that one pen, where you want all good bits of the system and you're disregarding the incredible slave machine that has to bring forth this one pen that we want, and the consequences of all their lives, everyone caught up in the machine, and the incredible harm and destruction that's going on to produce this one pen that we want. Again, that's that bridge we build across the kingdom, where we use the system to get out and we burn that bridge. Because basically we don't want to support this anymore. We don't want to support it. This is not about turning our backs on life itself. This is turning our backs on fiction and all the chaos and destruction that it causes, and stop participating in it. And stopping willingly to yes, I will continue to support it because we don't think there is another way to get out of this mess, when already there is one, which we're demonstrating. So news will spread. News will spread naturally. People will find out about these kind of things. They want to come and see with their own eyes. How do people live like this without the need for third-party, representatives, no government, no police, because we are already all these things. In fact, we are really the doctor too. We are the dentist. We are all these things. It's naturally built into us. And nature provides us with all the information we need, that super intelligence, as we need it, if it's required. That wisdom, that incredible wisdom, which still lives amongst traditionals who live nomadically on land, even amongst on these lands, where some of them still live like this. They're able to still solve everything that happens from broken bones and all that stuff. They don't need to go to hospitals and all that stuff. They don't need to go to dentists. And through all that ancestry, they never needed to do it. It doesn't matter where they originally came from, but the fact is that traditional tribes, wherever they all came from, where they all lived in the dream time, because we're all supposed to live in the dream time, because that's what life is, it's a dream time. Living in the moment, in the here and now, where life just takes care of everything. And when you love and you care for life, it comes back at you 10 times, 20 times more than what we're putting out. It's incredible, the abundance and the magnificence. Very different from system life, where all you're getting back is scarcity and mediocrity, because that's what we're putting out, because of the doubt and the uncertainty, the distrust and the fear, and on it goes. Arrogance, ignorance, righteousness, indifference, ridicule, abuse, intimidation, threats, coming up with all kinds of slander that people come up with. You just got to ignore it all, because it is chaos. They live for chaos. They wake up, go to bed, live for chaos. And they think this is the best they can be. And they form these ideas of what they think are communities and towns and villages and all these, but they're not the real communities, because they're all slaves to commerce. They're all slaves to a machine that, while they're watching the internet and their mobile phone, they're war, and unrest and murder, and it just goes on and on. This stuff plays out because we are putting it out there too. And we want to shape your life from all those kind of influences that are not normal, they're not natural. And you don't worry about what other people think about you. You just care for the domain of who you are, and you hold that, and you just keep progressing. Yeah, sure. Like I entered I should put the links in for these. I got a PDF file of a copy of an off-grid group that I entered into about a week and a half ago, maybe almost 2 weeks ago now, about this, what this is all about, what we're doing here. And I had people coming forward claiming this is a cult, this is cultish, all this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, well, they need more patience, more love. And you could see how I kept feeding back, and showing the irony that they already are in a cult themselves, the system, and everything of the system of cults within cults. So it's just you just got to ignore. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. You've got to ignore it all, and still have the heart and the grace and all that shining, and still be focused.
Get another question for you. I'm a bit frozen on the screen, but it's okay. I'll just leave it. I can fix it. I will have to log out and come back, but we'll leave it like that. It's not that.
That's all right.
So our only hope, because you said before, we have to go back to what you said previously. You said, let nature inspire you. Nature will inspire you, will give you answers, and it's true. I totally agree with you. Nature is very inspiring. Now, that stuff of being natural and coherent and full responsibility and all this, you cannot really teach that stuff because, like I said, our learning attitude sucks. I can't even teach things sometimes to my own children. So let's not be delusional here. Let's be really honest with ourselves. We have a learning attitude that sucks. So I think the only way we're going to heal this world is really by inspiring others, just like nature inspires us. And I think you're probably going to agree with me that it's the only way you can teach something to someone is by example, by your actions, by inspiring them, just like you want to do it with your children. Also, you want to inspire them, be a good person, so that the example that they see reflects something true, not someone living a lie. So that should inspire them to live their own truth. But I think that's the only way, and to break our head and have to try to make someone see what we are seeing is complete delusion, because you can only hope to inspire before you expire. I don't think I'm wrong with this, Arthur. Maybe you can give
No,
us.
because the living example, Janik, is all that matters. Is if when there is no more separation between who we really are and life itself, when we've entered duality, when duality is no longer existing in our makeup, because it's only the system shit in our head that's formed this duality. When we are life, because see, nature is who we really are.
Yeah.
And the superintelligence of nature is who we really are, because we are nature, we are life. Like I said, when we talk about God, we're talking about life. When we talk about consciousness, we're talking about life. When we talk about freedom and truth and joy and happiness, we're talking about life. It's what we are. We are life. And when we stop defining life, when we stop trying to define everything, the separation falls away. The illusion, all these things that we form between I, the fake person, who we still think is real, and life itself, where we think for me and I got to protect me and I and all the other stuff that comes out of this narcissism. When all this ends, because we willingly surrender, where we don't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab our next breath, because it's already got it here and now, it's already available. We can create that magnificence that shines naturally. And if other people want to come and experience that example, how to live on land, where we're actually doing it, we're not talking about it, we're actually doing it. And that's why I don't want to do any more of these videos, Shani. I want to end this now, because there's no point. There's no point talking about these things. It's just nothing. We've got to get on and do it. Whether you can be, there's enough information what I've shared. I'm sure that others you're talking with, for you to get on.
I agree with you.
Get on with creating these things, because that's what we should be waking up and going to bed. Not being at the effect of what we're watching on the internet and the news,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Donald Trump and Iran and Iraq, and on it goes, and Israel, and on it goes, and what goes on with the police and all the injustices, because there's 1,001 injustices that'll keep you locked into that stuff, which means that those bits that you're attached to, you're going to bring the whole of the system still into your life. And because you're brought up like that from when you appeared in the womb, you're going to still be trapped into the system where your head is spinning with all these dreams that are not your dreams. We never created any of these dreams. They're not our dreams. But when you create your real living dream and you take responsibility to start creating it, you're working with that good heart, because that's where the uniqueness and the originality is of who we really are. And that's where it's cherished and respected. And in there, the respect flows. In every area of our life, it's impacted. We wouldn't want to have chaos played out amongst each other's lives, to allow the real nature of our real life to be corrupted again, to recreate the system again, because we gave up responsibility for it, allowing others to come and take over the chaos so they can provide order, elevating them into authority. I mean, let's go back to the system. The high priests behind the Roman Catholic Church, the Church of England, behind the Jesuits, they're really high priests. They own nothing. They don't work with money. They leave all those below them in their pyramid structures to handle money. But they act as administrators. And so even though everything was gifted to them, and the Roman Catholic Church, Church of England, and etc., and other churches and that, they're sitting on vast tracts of land, massive amounts of land. They have enormous influence, huge, the biggest of the lot. But they own nothing. They own nothing. They just administrate, because we gave over all that administration where we weren't being responsible to them. And so the evolution of this administration, being representatives, representing the fiction, is where they get all the power. So they don't own the buildings and all that, but because they're acting as the representatives and the administrators and all that, they get access to all these things that they're caring for. And yet they own nothing. It's the same today when you look at all the organizations, all the corporations that they say that they give respect to the elders of the lands here before the imperial masters came here and invaded. You see all this jargon, because they admit, and even when you read this in any corporation, And you see the fine print there, or you hear it talk about, we give respect to the elders and that and that and this and wherever, all the jargon. They're admitting that nobody owns anything. They're saying it. Nobody owns anything. And they themselves in the legal system don't own anything. The whole legal system is all about authority and representation as administrators, acting as intellectual property. Because when you enter into the shadow world of the matrix of where everything was defined to us, and we're representing that what's defined to us as Arthur Christian in the fiction, with everyone else who are doing it, we gave them authority to act as interlopers, intermeddlers, interceders, third party, middlemen, middlewomen, and they carry out all these kind of responsibilities. So no one owns anything. No one ever has owned anything. Everyone's just very confused about how this power structure works. But that's actually how it works. I've explained it. So when you take back that full power, that full responsibility, not in talking, but in being it, this man now is fully responsible for what happens here, because I'm the man living on this land caring for it. There's no higher authority than that. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. And I'm sharing, they want to share this with others who want to handle that full responsibility, who don't want to play out all this chaos, allowing third-party interlopers in the middle of the city go to the court system because they feel they're victims and they've been ripped off and injured. Because that's the weakness of people. We've got to get past that. And in my case, to work with people who are past all this stuff. You don't want to play out that kind of crap. They don't want to play out divorce and having to get court systems and all this. It's just, look, honestly, the scale of the system where people gave their rights, their natural rights over their real lives to others to administrate their life, and have to go to them and bow down at these temples of fiction and say, please, can you fix this? Can you please give me some order to this chaos that I am part of, that I've created, even though I'll never admit it? There were things not working out. Can you help give me relief? You remember, money does not exist. There is no money.
Yeah.
It's all imaginary. Nothing's happening that's real. Why do we want to live like this and play out this passing the buck, unwilling to be responsible for our true lives, to be accountable for our real actions? And stop playing, this is mine. This is my best spot, and I've got to fight for it. And I've spoken to many Christian patriots over the years of doing Love for Life in the early days. They built fortresses, and they're inside these fortresses that they've created, and they've got guns and they're ready. And I said, is this freedom? Is this really your freedom?
Yeah.
And they just can't see it. I said, why? You see, for us, I don't have any of that. I don't have any fortresses here. We don't carry guns and weapons because I'm not in fear of anybody. I'm not in reaction to any of this stuff. And the more that I work with the real dream of life, of nature, the more it expands around me, because I'm responsible to hold that and be that. So I'm not attracting that. And if others who think they want to covet this, well, if they want to covet, they're going to come up against someone like this man. And I'll dispel them. And I have.
So
Because I have no
after
place.
it's going to be a wrap for today because I have to leave. But like we said, I don't think we're going to do much more talk like this. We have said a lot.
Not for a while anyway.
Enough for a while, that's it. And I think the goal is really to walk the talk and inspire each other into...
Can I just say one more thing, John? There's one more thing
go.
that's hanging out that needs to be talked about. Fiona carries, I've basically, the way it works here, I've given permission to Fiona to carry all the contracts with the system. So she has the land title deed, right? But the land title deed is not the land. It's the intellectual property. And the intellectual property is not the land. The local council still comes and works and does work on the roads when they ever get around to doing it. They come and collect the garbage and all this stuff. They do all that. And then there are many other things the local council does that makes it so that Fiona can hop in the vehicle that she uses to go to town and do all the things she does. And, the local council has to handle when the floods have come into the town and all that sort of stuff. So because I've given permission to Fiona, and this is how it works. I've given her permission to her to contract with local council to provide the services here, even at the gate of Ironbark Farm. That doesn't mean that the land, that the local council has authority to access over the land itself, because everything the local council's got nothing to do with the land or this man on the land.
Yeah.
in spite of all the contracts and whatever Fiona's still carrying. Because see, I'm above all that because I don't have any contracts. I'm the real thing. So that's why we work one in, one out. That's how we do this. So, they know already that the people in power who play out this, they already know what I'm doing. They're really clear about it. And it was great to see that the judge, who knew this, because it was very clear in all the documentation and even in the arguments and the cross-examinations that all happened in the case, the judge knew that we're pulling out of the system to create a community built around this so we can produce abundance and give away all that free food to the wider community, to benefit the wider community. The judge recognized that homesteads exist. The judge referred to the Ringing Cedar books and read journals and articles about all that. I don't know whether they actually even began to read the books, and I'm not sure. But recognized that what we're doing is not a problem. He didn't say that, but he didn't make anything wrong about any of it either. He left it all open for us to keep doing what we're doing. And he said that already a charitable trust was in place with the plaintiff into how it all came to Ironbark Farm.
Okay.
So he supported it without having to say it. And he referred to, in his 150-page judgment, he referred to the King Arthur and the Round Table mythologies and fables. He referred to Don Juan, the story of the knight in Spain. He referred to John Steinbeck novels. He referred to the Ringing Cedar books and all that. And how he might refer to the magical, mysterious things that goes on about life itself. I don't have any concern about it because he was willing to look at the real intentions behind, because I didn't go to the court. I don't have a name to go to court. I let Fiona do all that because she's the one that the plaintiff served her name, because Fiona still carries the name. She has all the contracts under the name. She has still all the commercial obligations. So I'm standing behind her as she goes and deals with the court, and she'd never done this before like this. And she did a great job. It's not about winning. It's about making sure that we're protecting the dream that we're caring for so it can continue to progress and not be undermined by anyone who's using the system to support the dream of us getting out of the system. And in doing, they get out of it as well. Now, if people lose their way in all of this and become psychotic or whatever, and become confused, whatever. I'm saying it, not Fiona. I'm saying, this is me saying it. That's a difficulty they have. They're going to have to correct it themselves and work out what's happening. And like I said, and even if the plaintiff was to watch this video, when you get back to that good heart, bro, when you get back to that, and you can be fully responsible for that, and you can live that, be that, there can be a home here for you too. That's how much the good heart works. But I'm not going to let anyone bring any of the chaos of that stuff here. It will be shunted. It'll be pushed out.
Okay. I have to go, Arthur, so I'm sorry.
Okay, mate.
I have to cut this short, but that's going to be it for today. Bless up, everyone.
All the best to everyone, too.
All the best. Stay focused. Stay up and in, not down and out, up and in, and give thanks for life. We are